Oh my goodness, the Great Lakes Classic, Battle of the Barge is back, Spencer German.
Yeah, we know defense wins championships, but is it going to be enough for the Browns to win the Battle of the Barge? We'll find out.
You are Locked On NFL Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, here we go, everybody. Matt Dery, Locked On Lions, Spencer German, Locked On Browns. It is the Thursday crossover brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks. Lions and Browns coming up on Sunday at Ford Field. Don't forget to download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL. You get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. 1 o'clock Sunday, Ford Field for Detroit and Cleveland. The Browns, many people expected to be 0-3 coming into this game, yet they shocked the world with a win over the Green Bay Packers. Spencer German, the host of Locked On Browns, joining me here on Locked On Lions. Lions, of course, off that big win Monday night against Baltimore. What's the mood, Spence, in Cleveland now as the Browns are off that win? I know our friends Ken and Anthony at the Fan there. Super Bowl, Super Browns is back, right?
Yeah, I think anytime the Browns win, it resonates throughout the town. Everyone's excited, at least for a week's period of time. It kind of makes you forget a lot of the deficiencies that this team clearly has. And I definitely do think it adds kind of a different outlook to the season, which is, rightfully so. This is such a week-to-week league. We always love to overreact to every little thing that happens. And after week 2, it was very much conversations about, is Kevin Stefanski going to survive the season? And is it time for a quarterback change? And I think the quarterback change conversation has kind of continued a little bit this week. But I think people also recognize, hey, they can't make a quarterback change after they win a game that way. So I think it's status quo for now. The Browns are going to keep trying to win by relying on their defense and hope that their run game can sort of come along as well. But yeah, mood's a little bit better than it was a week ago, but I think the expectation around town is still that the Browns have an uphill climb ahead of them, especially against this Detroit team that we saw on Monday night is an offensive juggernaut. That's going to be a problem.
Yeah, no question about it. And I think that the Lions offense versus the Browns defense is certainly a key matchup we'll get to, and it's fun to talk about. But you're right. I mean, Detroit feels like, it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride in this town. After week 1, the sky was falling. Oh my gosh, they need their old coordinators back. The offensive line's terrible. Then they beat the Bears in week 2, and it's like, all right, Lions and Bears, Chicago's really bad. So yes, Detroit put up a 50 burger, but got to show us something Monday night. And boy, did they, like you said, just an impressive performance by this Lions offense, just absolutely grounding and pounding on Baltimore with that run game. And really, it was like the old Lions from the last couple of years in terms of Montgomery and Gibbs, the O-line being dominant, the D-line, something nobody expected, getting 7 sacks on Lamar Jackson. So mood here is good. And, I think a short week, this could get to be a little bit dangerous. Jim Schwartz revenge game. Look, it's been years since he's been back in Detroit, and many years ago he was carried off the field as he told the Buffalo defense to carry him off the field after the Bills beat the Lions. Long time since he's been here, but Jim Schwartz wants to show out with that Browns defense, and could make for an interesting game on Sunday. What do you think?
Yeah, I do think it's fascinating that we get this matchup. It is truly you could argue the best defense in football right now, and on the Lions side, you could argue the best offense in football with what they're able to do. And I think what was interesting from Monday night too, because listen, we know that the Ravens can put up a lot of points. We know that Detroit can put up a lot of points. But, the Ravens lose week 1, and it felt like it was because they sort of shot themselves in the foot, right? Like there was the fumbles from Derrick Henry and all that led to the Bills winning that game. But the way that the Ravens lost that game on Monday to Detroit, that was one of the first times in a while that I can remember they just got beaten down. In the second half, their offense just could not move the football as effectively. They weren't finishing drives with points, and Detroit just kept on scoring. It was one of the more remarkable wins I think I've seen against that Ravens team in a while. And obviously has everybody in Baltimore questioning whether or not the Ravens are actually Super Bowl contenders. So I am fearful to a degree of what this Lions offense brings to the table. I know the Browns defense has been brilliant. Their defensive line has been fantastic. That group on their own kind of drives the entire machine here in Cleveland, and they can wreck every single team's game plan on any given weekend if they put their minds to it. But I just think Detroit has so much that they throw at you. And it's different from last week, right? Like Green Bay is good. Their defense is really good. Their offense is good, but they don't have the weapons Detroit has. You know, they don't have Amon-Ra St. Brown, and they don't have two running backs that are, I think, two of the best running backs, certainly the best tandem of running backs in football, I would say. They don't have, Jameson Williams. They don't have, I guess their closest thing they do have that replicates what the Lions have is Tucker Kraft as a tight end versus Sam Laporta.
Sure.
But I just think it's death by 1,000 cuts with this Lions offense. And I think that kind of is going to be the interesting story here is like, can this Browns defense do this again against what again is, I think, arguably the best offense in football?
Storylines for this game. Let's get into it. I'll give you a mini one with Detroit. And I think this is definitely interesting and kind of something to keep an eye on during the week. And that is number 6 for the Lions in the blue uniform this week, Terrion Arnold, a first-round pick 2 years ago, struggled a little bit at the start of last season, got better as the year went on, and I thought was ready to have a breakout year this year. Calvin Shepard, Lions defensive coordinator, said the same thing a few weeks ago on a different pod, talking to Glover Quinn and Trevor Thompson about, hey, look out for Terrion Arnold. First 3 weeks, he's been brutal. And if the Browns were to look up and go, all right, what can we do against this Detroit defense? 7 sacks. Linebackers have been unreal. Safeties are the best in football. DJ Reed on one side at corner is really good. Watch for Amik Robertson, who plays a lot anyway, but maybe to play a little outside corner, and maybe Terrion Arnold is on the sidelines. That's a minor kind of storyline for this game. Can the Browns, are they even capable of picking on another team's corner just with their anemic passing game?
I think that is the one of the biggest storylines for the Browns going into this game is the idea that you're going up against this juggernaut offense. You're going to have to score more points than you have in any of these games to this point. I mean, they have yet to crack 20 points this season. I think the last time they cracked 20 points in a game was like week 12 of last year. So it's been a while. And against this Lions team, like 13, 14, 17 points just isn't going to cut it. You're going to have to find a way to move the football. That's still the biggest question that this team has. And so, yes, that's a massive storyline. Like, this is your biggest test of an offense you're going against. Can you sort of keep pace with them and actually, give yourself a shot? We'll have to see. But I think off of that, the other big storyline for this team, aside from all the defensive stuff that we already highlighted, and it's on the offensive side of the ball, is like, what does game number 3 for Quinshon Judkins look like? Because it's been sort of this slow build. His first game he played in, it was only 20 snaps. He carried the ball 10 times, had a good game. He had 61 yards. And then last week he was brilliant. And I was looking this up earlier. I talked about this on my Wednesday show. He's leading the NFL right now in yards per carry after contact in the NFL. He's number 1, and he's almost number 1. David Montgomery's actually second, ironically enough. And he's almost like a full yard ahead of David Montgomery. That's how great he's been. So it kind of tells us like this offensive line hasn't created the best holes, but that hasn't necessarily mattered to Quinshon Judkins. So if the offensive line can get Jack Conklin back, if they can open up some more holes for him, maybe that's the thing that gets the offense back on track. But I do think that's the sort of the diamond in the rough that Browns fans are looking for is what does Quinshon Judkins do with another game under his belt, another prep week under his belt, and can he sort of carry this offense better than it has to this point?
Man, we've gone 8 minutes and 40 seconds and haven't brought up the quarterbacks, which is all you did all summer on your show. I know that. And because I check you out all the time, it's just, has it been nice to not have to do that for a couple of weeks?
Yeah. I mean, listen, the quarterbacks are a topic no matter what. Like, we could have led the show with that if we wanted to.
Yeah.
I just think right now, we kind of know what the deal is. Like, especially after they won last week. After a win, I know the offense will look bad, but they believe in their heart of hearts that Joe Flacco gives them the best chance to win. I think that's probably a fair argument, given like I've argued this past week. Like, would Dylan Gabriel look any better behind the offensive line and the issues that they've had up front for this Browns team? I'm not sure. So I can understand where, especially for this first 6 games, where now you play the Lions and then you play the Vikings after that, and then you play the Steelers after that on the road, which the Browns never play very well on the road in Pittsburgh. Like, you're trying to sort of navigate this opening stretch with the person that you think you can trust the most. And I think that's Flacco, and that makes a lot of sense. So the quarterback conversation, it's going to be a week-to-week thing. It's always going to come up, of course. But I think in terms of like tangibly getting a change, I don't think we're going to see that for a little while yet. So to me, it's not as big of a storyline going into this game unless Joe Flacco is just so bad and they get blown out so bad that they decide at some point in that game they have to put Dylan Gabriel in, and then I guess it will be a conversation. But that's more of like a to be determined type thing.
Yeah, and for our Lions listeners, as Andrew Siciliano told us on Wednesday, this is not Shedeur Sanders time, at least not yet. All right, coming up next, let's get into some matchups for what Spencer thinks the Browns. Just some things that he's looking at, and we'll do that with the Lions as well. It's the Thursday crossover brought to you by PrizePicks. And Locked On Lions, Locked On Browns, brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. NFL season is underway. FanDuel, making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You love FanDuel? Why? Do a same-game parlay. At the same time, you can bet on player props. You can also jump in live as games are unfolding. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on that fantasy lineup. So, are you ready to play? It's simple. You download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. So many things in this Browns-Lions game you can get in on the action on. Do so at FanDuel. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. And we're also brought to you today by our friends at Wayfair. When you think game day, you might not think Wayfair, but you should, because Wayfair is the best kept secret for incredible and affordable game day finds. Wayfair is everything you need to get your space ready for the season, whether you're tailgating outdoors or cheering from your living room. What do you love most about Wayfair? It's simple. What I love is the selection. If there's stuff for your man cave that you need, you can get it at Wayfair. They got unique finds and options for every budget, so you can show off your team spirit without overspending. Plus, delivery is free, fast, and hassle-free, which is a lifesaver when you need something in time for kickoff. Wayfair is your trusted destination for all things game day, from coolers and grills to recliners and slow cookers. Shop, save, and score today at wayfair.com. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. So our Thursday crossover, Matt Dery with you on Locked On Lions, Spencer German, Locked On Browns. Spencer and I go way back to our days of working together at 92.3 The Fan as well in Cleveland. Love having Spencer here with us today. All right, matchup-wise, Spence, for this game on Sunday, what do you see for Cleveland? What can they take advantage of, and what worries you?
Yeah, there's not a lot of weaknesses that I can tell from this Lions team at this juncture. I am kind of interested in the Myles Garrett, Penei Sewell matchup whenever he lines up on that side. I'm going to guess they'll probably keep him on the other side more often. But anytime you get an elite tackle against an elite pass rusher, it's always, a fun thing to sort of analyze and watch for. I think on the flip side of that, like, we know Aiden Hutchinson can absolutely wreck a game for the Lions. And my big question, there's a lot of questions on offense, but like as I brought up in the first segment, the offensive line needs to be able to get some push in the run game. They need to protect Joe Flacco better. That's been a problem for them so far this year. And so how they sort of contain him, how they keep him from, what did he have? Two sacks the other night, 3 sacks the other night? I forget what it was. He was awesome against Baltimore.
Oh,
so being able,
Hutchinson had one. Muhammad, Al-Qadim Muhammad at 2.5.
I think that's what it was. Yeah, I was going to say, I remember Hutchinson making a bunch of plays in the backfield. It must have just been the 1 sack. But certainly he is maybe not quite Myles Garrett status, but he's up there in terms of one of the better pass rushers in this league, and a guy that you have to game plan for and that you have to certainly be aware of. So I think a lot of the Browns' success or lack thereof is going to depend on how that offensive line holds up in pass protection, how they hold up in run protection, and trying to get some push for Quinshon Judkins, and if Quinshon can sort of take advantage of the opportunities that are given to him, because he's been great so far. And if he can keep building on it, I think that's how the Browns offense maybe kicks it into another gear. But I do think it's a big if as well, because this Lions defense, last year they were so banged up, it was hard to really judge them. But they're all back healthy now, and it's a really, really good defensive unit from top to bottom for the most part. So given all the deficiencies that the Browns have on offense, I think it's going to be a challenge for them. But what about you? I'm sure some of your key matchups certainly center around trying to mess things up on the offensive side of things for the Browns, but on defense, I'm sure there's a lot less that it's going to be harder to find some of those areas that the Lions can exploit.
Well, I think two things come to mind in this game. Number one, the crowd noise at Ford Field, and Joe Flacco, just let's being honest, is a statue. So
Yeah.
if it's loud and if they're backed up deep and maybe a Jack Fox punt or a good kick coverage and a penalty, and you got the Browns 1st and 10 from their own 10, 15-yard line, that crowd really gets into it, and they get amped up, especially when they're, like I said, there's a sitting duck quarterback. If you recall last year, week 18 against Sam Darnold, he was rattled. Couldn't run to begin with because that's not who he is, but he really got rattled in that game because of the noise and because of the pressure that Aaron Glenn's defense put on. Now Kelvin Shepard's doing a lot of the same things. I wouldn't say the Lions blitzed a ton the other night against Baltimore. It was just staying in their lanes and doing a good job. So I think that is a key matchup. It's almost like Flacco and how that offense communicates against that crowd and that defense. Number two, in watching that game on Sunday from the lakefront, I got to tell you, Mason Graham is playing great. And that's a kid that everybody around here knows from Michigan, highly sought after by the Browns in the draft. And boy, did he wreck that game against the Packers. Pretty good offensive line. Lions interior O-line the last two games, Spencer's been great. I mean, they've held up. And week one was a disaster in Green Bay for that Glasgow, Mahogany, Ratledge trio in the middle of that offensive line. Now, you got to keep an eye on Myles Garrett. Then you got Graham on the inside. All those guys on the Browns front have played well. I mean, there's Aiden Hutchinson and there's Aiden Huntington. That kid's look good, right? So
yeah.
Lions O-line and Browns D-line's a great matchup to watch. Not just Garrett and Sewell, but I think the whole shooting match here, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if the Browns are going to have a chance to win this game, and if they're going to have a chance to do to Detroit what they did to Green Bay, it starts with that group, right? And Myles, it's crazy because like Myles is so good, you have to almost account for him with two guys at all times, and so that's allowed guys like I thought Malik Collins was honestly one of the more underrated signings just in general this offseason, not even by the Browns, just like across the NFL. I mean, that guy was top 10 in pass rush win rate for San Francisco the year prior. Like he was really good, and he was in this attacking style defense. You had Mason Graham into the mix, as you mentioned. Isaiah McGuire and Alex Wright have both been really, really good. Opposite of Myles Garrett as well, sort of rotating at that other defensive end spot. Like there's a lot to like with this group, but it's going to be up to them to get pressure on Jared Goff, who hasn't faced a lot of pressure so far this season. I crunched a few numbers on that in the show I did on Wednesday. And when he is pressured, his completion percentage drops from 77.9 to 63%. He hasn't thrown any touchdowns when he's been pressured. He hasn't thrown any interceptions either. But we also know history tells us that Goff at times, you can have some of those dud games where he like just kind of in his head or he feels the pressure too much and he makes some errant passes. So that if they're going to throw things off with this offense, I think it has to be limiting the run game, which the Browns have done a brilliant job of through these first 3 weeks from all three teams they've played, and then forcing Jared Goff to beat you and hopefully continuing to get pressure on him and maybe force some mistakes. The Browns got their first interception in a long time on Sunday against the Packers. They keep saying they're going to come in bunches, so I'm sure they're going to go into this game looking to get more of those to sort of flip momentum in their favor.
It's interesting. Grant Delpit's a really good player. We talk all the time about the Lions safeties. Joseph, Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch are both top 5, in my opinion, probably the best tandem in the league. But man, Delpit, I got a game ball the other day from Kevin Stefanski in the locker room after that game. And he's starting to come on, isn't he?
Yeah, Delpit's been great this year. I think every year he's gotten a little bit better. He's generally a better player in run support. Like the coverage stuff isn't his strength necessarily. But I think you saw on Sunday when he made that pick, like the way that Jim Schwartz was able to disguise some things is kind of the key here. And I think that's going to be pivotal in this game as well, as kind of the X's and O's. You talk about Jim Schwartz maybe wanting to exact a little bit of revenge on Detroit for how things kind of ended there for him. I think mixing and matching things, disguising coverages, like they confused Jordan Love very well on that interception he threw at the end of that game that set up the eventual touchdown that tied it, and then the end sequence that we all saw. So like how he utilizes those guys in the secondary, I will say that's one area of weakness for the Browns though right now, is like that nickel spot has been an issue. You know what you're getting in Denzel Ward. Greg Newsome has held his own as an outside corner so far this year, and you feel pretty good about Grant Delpit and even Ronnie Hickman to a degree, but that nickel cornerback spot has been something that teams can exploit. I'm curious to see if that's something that the Lions take advantage of and try to target as well with all the weapons that they obviously have across the field.
Yeah, when they know that there's a nickel over there that and maybe an inside corner that just isn't getting it done, they put St. Brown up. They'll
Yeah.
put him in motion and put him up against that guy and figure out a way, whether it's crossers or whatever, and get St. Brown free. That could be a long day for the Browns. All right, when we come back, let's figure out what the Browns need to do, what the Lions need to do to win, and get some predictions here as well on this Thursday crossover. And Locked On Lions, Locked On Browns for this Thursday, brought to you by our friends at GameTime. NFL season is back, and honestly, nothing like being in the stadium, surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, it is frustrating. Some Browns fans are definitely going to be making the trek to Ford Field. Easy drive to come in. You want to go to the game? It's easy. Use GameTime, the app that gives the advantage back to you, the fans. GameTime is fast, easy, and backed by the GameTime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. Just on GameTime recently, possibly going to head into a beautiful Progressive Field on Saturday night. See a little Guards ball against the Rangers. Get the tickets right there on GameTime. Plus, you love zone deals. You pick the section, GameTime picks the seats, and you save big money. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, and go. Download GameTime today. Matt Dery and Spencer German with you. Locked On Lions, Locked On Browns. A little Sunday, 1:00 kick at Ford Field. Boy, a lot of Detroit and Cleveland this week, huh, Spencer? This is
no kidding.
Crazy how the schedule maker works sometimes.
Yeah, I mean it's been fun to follow the Tigers and Guardians, just like all the craziness going on with those two teams, with the choke job by Detroit, the win streak for Cleveland. I'm curious to see, like, I was kind of thinking about this honestly earlier, like the idea that maybe the Browns have to be sacrificed on Sunday and the Lions get a win so that the Guardians can win the division or something like that. So we'll see if that happens or not. Yeah. But the sports gods work in mysterious ways, I guess.
They do. It's wild. All right, Spencer, when you look at it, how do the Browns somehow pull this off? What would they need to do to win?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like, I think you saw the blueprint to a T like last week. Really, it has to be that the defense finds a way, somehow, some way, to limit the damage from this Lions offense, keep the Browns within striking distance, and then hope that at some point they can sort of turn that corner, turn it on, and make the plays necessary to win the game. It's not the most reliable winning strategy, but it's based off how the Browns are built right now. It's kind of the way they have to do. They have to play these games and hope that they kind of work out, because they just don't have the firepower on offense to hang with a team like the Lions, or clearly hang with most teams in this league, because it's taken them pretty much limiting the damage from all the teams they played to this point to even have a chance to win these games. So, the one thing you can say is, to this point, the defense has done a pretty good job of setting up the offense to win. Even in that Ravens game, it was a close game. It was within like 2 scores up until like late in the third quarter. So they certainly have the ability to do it, but I just have my doubts about whether or not the offense can actually get it going enough to hang with this Lions team. If they are, as I said earlier, I think it all centers around Quinshon Judkins and that run game getting going, and them actually being able to move the football that way, staying ahead of the sticks. I wouldn't mind if the Browns win the toss, taking the ball first instead of deferring, because if you can get on the board and have your defense play with a lead, like, that'd be superb. That'd be really nice for them. So we'll see if Kevin Stefanski chooses to be aggressive if that happens. And I said the same thing last week too with the Packers, and obviously they actually got the ball first, and then they ended up not scoring. But yeah, I think this team just can't make mistakes. Like, they might need a turnover somewhere in the middle of the game to flip momentum in their favor. They need a lot to go their way. They need a lot of luck and a lot of bounces, especially against a team that's as good as the Lions. So the path to victory, I think we saw it to a T last week for this Browns team. I just don't know if it's going to work as effectively against this Lions team.
No, and I think Jared Goff is playing at such a high level right now. And look, you throw week 1 out, it was bad, and you give Green Bay a lot of credit. But, man, the last couple of weeks, Chicago and, of course, Baltimore Monday night, he has just been on his game. And I think it's a challenge. I think Jared Goff is up for it to go, oh, Browns defense is number 1 in the league? Really? Okay, watch this. And just do his thing in the play action passing game. If they get the run game going with Montgomery and Gibbs, and like I said, St. Brown matching him up. And look, if they decide, all right, we're just going to put Denzel Ward on St. Brown no matter where he goes, maybe this is the game that Isaac Tesla, who we've been kind of waiting to see more of, gets more touches as kind of that third option. But I don't see a scenario where the Lions lose this game. I just think coming back home, yes, it's a short week. Yes, the Browns defense is very good. But, I kind of look at and see a 31-17 type final where Browns are sitting right at that number, like you said, 17 points. They just don't have enough offensively. I love Jerry Jeudy, but who's getting him the ball? It's just,
Yeah.
And I worry too about, like you said, that O-line, Jones being hurt. I think the Lions will win. What do you think?
Yeah. It's funny. Like last week I picked the Packers to win in sort of a similar score. I think I said like 27-17 or 27-18 or something like that. And I kind of feel like I feel the same way about this game. Like and it's funny when like you pick a score like that and the fans get to gloat about how you were wrong. They get to rub it in like, haha, you didn't pick it right. So you're so stupid. Like, can't believe you bet against the Browns because, to the victors go the spoils, I guess. But in retrospect, like, I don't think that any of these predictions, if that's what if that's what I'm rolling with, are like that bad. When you think about the context of the Browns and where the contact, where this team is at, especially offensively and what they can actually do. It's just sometimes football is weird, man. So I think this game's going to have to get really weird for the Browns to have a chance. I sort of laid it out earlier, but they got to stop the run. They got to get pressure on Jared Goff. I think they're just asking for too much. And this Detroit offense is just a juggernaut. You're right. Jared Goff's playing fantastic. I'd probably roll with a similar score. I honestly, I think, what'd you say? 31-17?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I think something in that range is probably where I'm at. Like I could see them getting to 30 in this game. I think like the Baltimore game, it could be one of those situations where maybe going into the fourth quarter, it's like 20-10 or 20-13 or something. And the Browns are sort of hanging in there. And then the floodgates just kind of open because once you get into that fourth quarter, it's like the body blows. They finally figure something out and they score a couple touchdowns or have a couple scoring drives to pull away. But I do think that the Lions win by double digits, sort of running away late in this game. I just think they're as good as the Browns defense has been. I think it's too much of an offensive onslaught to overcome in this one.
Great stuff, Spencer. Always a pleasure to see and hang with you, my man, and enjoy the game Sunday.
Should be a good one. We'll see what happens, and I'm sure the Ford Field is going to be loud in there, especially if Detroit blows this lead in baseball. They're going to want something to get excited about across the street.
My God. Long way to go, as we say. But Spencer German, check out his show, Locked On Browns. Of course, wherever you get your podcast, he'll have a Friday show tomorrow, as will I, Matt Dery. Locked On Lions, Locked On Browns. It has been the Thursday crossover brought to you by PrizePicks.